guys? Tambo here with your Week 5 core report. Coming off a huge Week 4 where our guy Hoop shipped for $1 million, Week 5 was yet another busy one with our experts and members shipping left and right. Last Monday, RPS was all over the leaderboard, chopping the big Monday Night Football DraftKings Showdown contest. AP, Hoop, Statlers, Adam GQ6, and BX Boom all shipped the first place prize for $5,900 each. Humacom also hit that night, chopping first in several contests for $8,700. Later on in the week, Uncle T continued his heater, shipping for $11K in MLB. JT Hayes also hit for $20K in MLB. But our biggest hits came on the Sunday Week 5 main slate, where Big T continued his heater, hitting on his FanDuel core. Tony's core featured Josh Allen, Jeff Wilson, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Khalil Shakir, and Pat Freiermuth. By taking the discount with Shakir and going cheap at running back, Tony was able to round out his lineup, shipping Big T over $128,000 for the weekend. The Tone Dog was not alone, as our members rode that core to some big hits as well. C. Tangretti turned $21 into $1,800. DFS Dad hit for $8,800. Drew C.A. won $7,500. Jamie Walsh hit big for $20K. J-Dub115 joined in with a $21,000 hit, and Kevin Barnhill shipped over $90,000. To top it off, our guy Swint parlayed a $333 ticket given away by Hoop on our live Sunday NFL show into $3,500. Again, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube page, get it done now. K-Falik also called his shot in our premium Discord and used his member-provided game plan to ship $68,000. I myself used my main core for my attack plan on Monday Night Football to cap off a week of winning at RPS with a King of the Beach ticket. Sign up for a Run Pure Sports membership today and get in on the fun. You have nothing to lose by trying us out. Remember, you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports College Football Show. I'm your host, Mangone. We are here without JJ. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's at the pumpkin patch or picking up some rose petals. I'm not sure what he's doing, but he's going to be not here today. And it's me, Mangone, right? We got Big T. We got Bruce. We're breaking it all down for you guys here. Let's go over to you first, Bruce. How's it going? We got the stash rocking today. Your Texas team is on the slate. So how's this slate looking for you here today?
So many good games. You don't really have to stack. You can just play the dudes from the games that look to go off. So it's a good solid slate. I think there's a bunch of edge to be had. So Texas should win today. Hopefully it's not a letdown spot for them. But it's a good slate, and I think we'll have fun talking about it.
I'm excited to talk about it. There's a couple things I want to get dialed in and figure it out on my end. So excited to break it down with you guys. Then I got Big T over here. And if you guys are wondering, I'm at Big T's. That's why I'm not my normal setup. I'm here on the couch, the basement. So hang with Big T for the day. We're going to ship, right? We had a nice little MLB sweat yesterday. And the people in the chat did well. Your boy Grisham went yard. So Big T, how's it going? And are you pumped for the games today?
Yeah, I'll always enjoy some college slates, especially when we got a couple boys here from Run Pure, JSU and Mangone. Mangone did have, we should probably get into that first, Bruce. Mangone did have tough sledding yesterday. I mean, on the golf course, JSU took him down. I couldn't believe it. I was fully on Mangone on the golf course. I thought he would handle JSU.
You were not on me. That was hurtful.
No, going at golf, I was.
I don't think you were on.
No, not. I was on Mangone going into the golf for sure. And then, 3 holes in, I switched to JSU because Mangone's swing was not dialed in. But then the upset of the whole day, though, Rubio comes back, Bruce. Our man Rubes, after a year of ridicule, well, not a year, 6 months or whatever since March, all the ridicule, all the make fun, just redeems himself, Bruce. Takes Mangone down from the scene of the crime And it was a convincing victory with multiple deep shots.
On the
Did you
slab?
see the highlights?
Oh,
No,
Bruce,
no.
there's a Periscope. If you want to watch Rubio just wet every shot in my face, it was painful, but he was on fire. I think he made
It was the true Dumb and Dumber gift, though, and completely redeems himself, Rubio, yesterday.
I think he made 6 twos. He told me. I haven't went back and watched, but he that's what when after the game we talked about. I was like, yeah, I think I made 6 of them. So we played
at
the
least
15.
I wouldn't be 15. Yeah, it was probably 6.
Yeah, I think it was 6 because he at first he thought it was 7. I was like, you made 2. I remember 2 of the 2s that he made, or 2 of the ones he made. So I was like, no, it was definitely 6. But yeah, Rubio got it done, Bruce. It was crazy to think.
So Periscope is still a thing? Is that still around?
I don't think it was Periscope, actually. It was Twitter or something. I don't know.
It's something on
Uncle
Twitter.
T did it on a flip phone from the friggin' backyard.
It might be Periscope then. He might
I think it's the Periscope technology on Twitter is what I think it is.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
but it was a good story though. It was a true underdog story, and I always like the underdogs. Man, and I did get some Mangone bucks because I did bet Rubio on the court because he looked motivated. He was out there. He was dialed in. It was like how Mangone looked when he came back this year in March. Maybe Snyder's the next on the comeback tour. Snyder, there is hope out there, buddy.
One thing to mention, Big T, you weren't as confident in Rubio though. You did not bet the max. I tried to get more out of you, and you wouldn't do it. So it's worth mentioning. You were
I didn't know if he had heart. I had to measure heart. Like in March, he just didn't have the heart. I didn't want to go down with the guy that's just going to quit on me. If I would have known he had the spray job going on out there, I would have definitely been in there. Yeah. Ooh, I can't believe JSU beat him in golf, though. I mean, the man has only played 3 times in his life.
Wait, I will say you were impressed with his shot. I mean, I was impressed too. The putting is what he has to dial in a little bit, I think. Yeah. Other than that, JSU had a pretty solid shot going on there. So, and we got Snyder in the chat. He says he can't wait for the smoke for Mangone to get the smoke in March. And Snyder, I'm down for it. I can't wait. Should be fun. Definitely down to take you down. And we already got the wager ready to go. So will be fun. But we got to talk some college football. We got to dive into this thing. Let's talk about it. If you guys could please subscribe to this video. Helps us out a ton over here at Run Pure Sports. We appreciate it. We got Big T here on you bringing the winners. We got Bruce. He does the playbook, answers tons of questions in the Discord chat for the people. He's here breaking it down, giving you guys his projections and his looks. So please, guys, like that video. Let's dive in, though. Let's talk about these games. First one up. Let's get into this one. Let's get into the Virginia Tech and the Miami game, because there's some cheap values in this game that should definitely be discussed. You gotta like Mallory. Some of these quarterbacks are kind of interesting. You got Parrish Jr. Bruce, let me go over to you first, because this is one of those games that, if you told me, this slate was happening this weekend, I didn't think I'd play as many of these guys. But the price tags, I mean, everyone has a price, and this is definitely a game that I think you can mix and match some of these options in here. Doesn't seem like the full game stack is in play for me, but I do think there's some interesting options. How about you, Bruce?
Yeah. The value options from this game are probably some of the best on the slate. The game itself is just bad. It's going to be slow. Miami wants to run the football. Virginia Tech probably wants to do the same. If you look at a guy like Henry Parrish for Miami, got 73% of the snaps last week. I do know Jalen Knighton is on his way back from injury, so that could go down just a little bit this week. So could see him run the football. Pittsburgh actually almost ran for 500 yards against Virginia Tech last week. I know it's a different offense there, but both offenses want to run it. You mentioned Will Mallory as well. His target share is just too good. Should be on the field most of the game. Caleb Smith for Virginia Tech, also in that same boat. 4K for him. He's one of the better wide receivers in the country. And just too cheap there, especially in a game that they should be trailing. But yeah, I just mainly want to pick a few pieces from that game, and if it's like my last spot I'm landing on, I'm definitely gonna slot them in there.
All right, Big T, let's head on over to you. What are you doing with this Miami and Virginia Tech game? Any interest in Van Dyke? Any interest in Mallory? What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, Miami game, you're throwing me off with the 12:30 time, or is it 12:30?
Oh, sorry. That must be why I messed it up. But yeah, should have went in the order of that. But I kind of want to get to that one first, just because I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I like the starting point too, because there is a couple key plays, I think, with Mallory and Parrish. Just because Parrish, I don't know, just looking around, I don't think people are as confident in him as I think they should be. I mean, he's had double-digit carries. 14, 21, 16, 14, 11. He's been more consistent than people think. And Virginia Tech just sucks. Like, they're just terrible. And they've quit every year, it feels like. And just the price point at running back. Everyone that knows kind of how I play college, I like to spend down at running back a lot of the time, where other people spend up. This week is a little different, though, just because I think they're cheaper quarterbacks and stuff, where I do like some spend up running backs. But Parrish looks close to a lock to me at 4,800. I don't know if that's a high owned play. I don't think he'll get that much ownership at 48, but he just looks like a slam dunk to me. And Mallory too. So it's kind of weird where I really, really like two guys, and I don't love the game overall though, because I think both teams kind of suck. It's just the price points where they just fit perfectly no matter what other team you play. Like, if you love a game stack, they kind of fit nicely with it. If you like a couple other paths, they just fit nice. So super high on those guys. I do think you can maybe stack this game up a little bit just because of how bad both teams are. We talk about it in the NFL a little bit too. Sometimes when two teams just suck, the game will just shoot out, or it could play really ugly too at times. But sometimes it just shoots out. You got a cheap quarterback, even Van Dyke's 5K. I think he could crush, and you got cheap weapons. So, like, just say you played Van Dyke with Mallory and whoever, Smith or this Ladson or any of these guys, or even just one, even just Van Dyke and Mallory. You run it back with Caleb Smith, who's also cheap, 4K. You got just a nice little mini stack that you can build a ton of different things in there with it. So I don't know. I'm kind of on board with this game more than I thought I would be.
Yeah, and we got VIP in the chat. He's upset with me for mentioning Mallory first, but that's the thing. He's one of like the key things to talk about on this slate, right? And this is why he's actually one of the key things to talk about. As crazy as it sounds, there's not as much value around like to grab, right? Like running back. Parrish, yeah, I agree with you, Tony. I think he's a really good play. But there's a lot of good, like high-end 7K running backs. Raheem Sanders in the 6K range is a great running back option, where like what's going to naturally happen is you want to kind of spend down somewhere. Like you have to spend down at some positions. Yes, you can spend down at quarterback too, but there is some opportunity cost to that. And there's some good options in the high 7s and in that 6K range where naturally you need some kind of value. And that's why we're talking about him. I do agree though, like I said, with the Parrish thing. Think he's a really good play, someone I'm going to get exposure to. Tony, would you not play both those guys on the same team unless it was in a stack? Like, would you separate them?
No, that's the weird thing with how I build teams. I don't like to do that if they cost, but both these guys are free. So I think you can. I don't think you have to group them away. The only time I really group people away is if you're spending a ton of salary, like Bryce Young and Gibbs or something. Like, you just couldn't play those two together. They're too expensive. But when you got two cheapies, I think you could even play the three of them, Van Dyke, Mallory, and Parrish. Like, I don't think anyone will do that, and you're just not spending salary. You're just not. And when Virginia Tech comes in and just quits and Miami scores 35, 40, even more points, like, you're just cooking. And I'm starting to like it more and more, because if you just say you start with those three guys and Caleb Smith on a team, so 4 guys from this game, and you get a bunch of points, which I think you can literally play all studs with it. And I don't know. I kind of like how that fits. It's funny you start with this game, because I think this game's pretty sneaky.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting to talk about. I know it's a 12:30, but on Sabre it has it listed for 12. So I'll just go into the order.
I don't know why it's 12:30.
I know.
Maybe it's not. It could be 12. I don't know.
I think it's 12:30.
Yeah. But that's why I went with that order. I'm just going through. If you're on SaberSim, which that's our partner over here at Run Pure Sports, I'm going to go through the list of the games in that order. So that's the way I'm just going about it. So, hey, if you haven't signed up for Run Pure Sports, haven't signed up using SaberSim, listen, if you're a member, I think you should be on basically on and doing this as well with SaberSim. Big T, before we kind of dive into the next game, just tell people why they should use an optimizer. I think it's like super important. Like if you're hand building, I think it's just like a mistake these days.
Yeah, just going through earlier today as Mangone was here, kind of taking my notes, going through, putting some rules in. I mean, I think you have to do that prep work. And when you run your numbers, especially in college, well, every sport though at this point, but college, you want to run your numbers and kind of see where all the positions are sliding in. And can you do it by hand? Sure. But no one by hand. And I'm a field guy anyways, but if you're doing it by hand, you're going to be missing stuff. You won't see combos. And even if you're playing only a couple teams, using a site like SaberSim, it's just going to give you options to kind of see the paths you should be. Should I go spend up at running back? Should I spend down at receiver? If I play this guy, what happens if I lock him in? Just tons and tons. You can play with it all morning trying to figure out the paths you need to victory. But if you're not using some sort of optimizer, I obviously love SaberSim, our partner. But if you're not using some form of optimizer, you're just behind the field these days. Even if you're not playing 150, like I think a lot of people think that, oh, I only play 1 to 3 teams, I don't need to use an optimizer. That's just not true if you want to get better. I'd be stunned if any of the top people these days don't use an optimizer. I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there that's the rarity, but I don't know who it is. And you got to have some form of that.
Yep. Agree on that. And it's super important. Like, let's say you use the optimizer, right? You run a team and let's say you are a one lineup guy. You pick a team out and you're like, man, I love this team, but you know what? The one thing I'm not in love with is, let's say I don't like Gibbs from Alabama. Well, let's say you love Tucker and he's not on that team. Put him in there and it's a solid team. So that's the way I would use the opto. Think it's good. Even for people that like the hand build like myself. Let's go over to the next game. We can make this one quick. Minnesota and Illinois. Bruce, anyone you're interested in here?
I mean, I had K Falik in the chat this morning trying to convince me that Mo was a good play, but
no, K Falik's on this game. No, not the 39.5 total. Come on.
I added him to the playbook, but at the bottom, yeah, I don't like anybody from this game. It's just going to be slow, and it's just a tough matchup for both teams. You could probably look at someone, I think Chase Brown will probably score more than Mo today. Just looking at it, both teams haven't played anybody, so you can kind of go at that angle, but the total's just so low.
All right, Big T, what about you? I mean, 39.5 total. You're typically not playing them, but do you have any interest in K Falik's boy Ibrahim today?
So the last time I came on, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and I missed last week or whatever on this show, but I talked about in college football over the years, I've shipped a lot of these tournaments where in these spots, 8,900 Mo Ibrahim, no one's going to play him. He gets all the volume. We just saw it with Corum a couple weeks ago when everyone's like, I don't even know what the second string dude's name is, but I'm like, the dude's got 30 carries back to back. I don't care if the other guy's back. And then Corum went out and just smashed at no ownership. And I don't know. Both of these running backs in this game are not going to be owned. They both get tons and tons of volume. If you're playing multiple teams, I'm with K Falik. I like these running backs. And I just don't think they're going to be owned for volume. When you get this type of volume, I just think people are doing it wrong, ignoring them. They have 40-point ceilings, and they're not going to be owned. So in tournaments, I just think you have to keep them in your pools.
All right. Interesting take from Big T. I didn't expect it. I thought you'd full fade the 40.
It's the only spot I really ever do it is these volume running backs in college, because they literally can get 35, 40 carries. They just get pounded the ball. So even if it's a 40 total, if you're giving someone 30 plus carries and they're talented, like they just have huge ceilings at no ownership. Will they be on my main team? No, they won't be. But in a contrary, an example could be one of those teams I just talked about, the Miami game stack, where you play a running back here. Like that's how you can ship a tournament. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that's where the guy in the chat from last week is going to be like, you just need to play Bijan Robinson. He was the best raw points play. And it's like, I mean, yeah, he was great last week, but there were a lot of other running backs that got 30 and got like 25. So yeah, and honestly, you ended up one reason why Robinson was actually ended up being needed on some teams was because those values crush, like you said, Tony. So I mean, sometimes you just need raw points.
When those values crush, like there's nothing wrong. I mean, just think about roster construction. And when everyone plays these cheaper running backs, if they get like 15, that's fine. But when you get 40 from one of these unowned guys, and you're unique on top of it, you can play chalk with it.
All right, let's go over to Kansas and Oklahoma. Really, really solid game here because one, Kansas doesn't play any pass D, and two, Oklahoma plays no D. So high total, not your typical game that you're looking to go to, I think, though, because we don't have Jalen Daniels. So are people going to go to the backup and Bean, who looked really great last week? And then I know Gabriel, he's coming off an injury. Marvin Mims is really pricey. I hate playing Eric Gray. There's just some interesting stuff with this game where it's not your typical total that people are gravitating towards. Bruce, I got some Bean exposure right now. Do you have any interest in him? And like overall, like maybe Marvin Mims, is he going to be an interesting contrarian option at the top? Talk about this game because it's one of those higher totals today. But again, it's not one of those I think people are trying to just jam in today.
Yeah, I love this game. I do like Bean a lot. If you look at Duggan against OU a couple weeks ago, he had 5 rushes, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I would say that Bean is probably the better runner of him and Duggan. So he could do those same things there, and he looked good as a passer last week too when he came in. So I am definitely playing a lot of Bean in GPPs. He's going to be lower owned, maybe single digits even. So I like him a ton. Dylan Gabriel should be back too, so you can play some of these wide receivers this week, like Mims. And I think Farouk actually looked good against Texas last week. They ran him a lot, and he's really fast. So I like him. I think Devin Neal is going to be a little popular today, and I like him a good amount with Highshaw out again. He last week got 64% of the carries, or 64% of the snaps, with Kai Thomas kind of working in just a little bit there. He's a good play. This OU rush defense is giving up 29 DraftKings points per game, so he's just a good play. They could lean on the run just a little bit more with Bean in there too. So 5,700 for him seems like a good price. And Eric Gray is interesting at 7,500, I guess, as a GPP play. He's going to be less than 5% owned there. So if you have the balls to play him, he's probably a solid play. I know some people like Quentin Skinner for Kansas as well. He seems to have good rapport with Bean. 3,400, not a bad value option.
All right, Big T, let's go over to you. Kansas and Oklahoma. Again, I like some guys, but man, it's tough to get him in there like the way I thought I was going to. Thought this would be a game I really wanted to load up on, but I don't know. I just think there's other spots I prefer. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky for sure. I mean, like Mangone and Rubes were talking about yesterday, Oklahoma's been horrendous. Kansas has been much better, even though I think they lost their last game versus TCU or whoever beat them. But they've looked a lot better this year. Oklahoma just looks awful to me. But this is a spot where it does look like an Oklahoma spot to me. It's back home. Kansas, whatever the other quarterback's name is out. Bean, I don't know, guys. Like if he was like 5K, I could be in, but man, 7,500. This guy's killed us for years.
He looked amazing last week. Like he came in there.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, all college kids look amazing here and there. The dude I've seen him for years, and the dude sucked so many times. He can run, but 7,500 just feels expensive to me. And I just can't do it. I mean, I'm okay with it, I guess. It's just like a one-off. You can't pair them with anyone too, which I hate. Doesn't matter in college fully, but like I would play, what's the Arkansas, Jefferson, whatever his name. Like you just have to, how could you play Bean over Jefferson against BYU? I just couldn't do it. So I'll probably be off there. Neal, though, I'll play a little bit of Neal. I mean, I think Oklahoma just gets gashed in every aspect. I do worry that Oklahoma just shows up today and just pounds Kansas, though. And Oklahoma, though, there's no one really to play either. You just look at their team. The prices are high enough. Nothing sticks out. So honestly, for me in this game, outside of fillers with the running game, I just don't see anything.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't got too much else to say. The only thing I want to ask Bruce is we had Rubio here yesterday, and he was asking about Rice, for SMU. He said Rubio, Big T is going to get a laugh at this. He said if he gets 20 targets a game, Rubio said he could put up 40 DK points. Bruce, let me get your thoughts on that. Do you think Rubio's putting up 40 DK points on 20 targets?
No way. Not even close.
Where does he even come up with this stuff? Like, he can't actually believe it.
It was incredible. Like, no one provoked the conversation. It was just him. He just, I could score 40 DK points if I got 20 targets.
He was just talking about how terrible Rice is.
Yeah, it was good
times. Yeah, they doubled him all night long. Just left all the other guys open. So that's the way it goes. And then our boy Gaffney got the job done at 5%. He was a good one yesterday that you were talking up. So love to see that. Hey, one thing to mention, if you guys haven't checked out Run Pure Sport, check out all the stuff Bruce has. He's got for all the college stuff. He's got not only does he have the playbooks, right, with all the breakdowns and stuff, he's sometimes in chat, which is why you need to be in the Discord, right, Bruce? You post like something like the snap shares, the targets. Tell the people about that, some of the stuff that you post in there, because that's like valuable info that if you're not in the Discord chat, you're missing out on. Yeah, it's just good stats I look at during the week, especially the snap counts, targets, from the year. And it's good, especially if looking for a good low-owned running back or something. If you need to pivot late, you need something to do. So I usually put those in the chat and pin them. So if you need any help, there they are.
Yeah, great for the afternoon slates. Great for the late night slates at 10:30. I mean, there's edge to be had. So be sure to check that out. Let's go over to the next game though. Let's talk about Auburn. Let's talk about Ole Miss. Ashford, he's definitely in the conversation. I think today we also got Zach Evans. I think he's another interesting option of these like running backs to go to. Let's go over to you, Bruce. Any interest in this game between Auburn and Miss?
Yeah, if I'm going to play somebody from this game, it's most likely the running backs for Ole Miss. Auburn has struggled against the run this year. Their defensive line is really beat up, giving up 34 DraftKings points per game to running backs. And somebody sent me a message this morning about Judkins. He actually lives is from the Auburn area, and wasn't offered by them and ended up going to Ole Miss instead. So there's a good revenge narrative there. He is sharing carries with Evans, so you have that to worry about. But he's just a stud, and I could see him, getting a touchdown or two today. He is priced up too, so ownership should be low. It is. I love playing running backs at home, so Judkins is definitely in play in GPPs for me. The receivers for Ole Miss are still priced relatively cheaply. You can get Mingo and Watkins both. Mingo's 6,100, Watkins is 3,900. Heath is also cheap, so passing game is cheap too. I don't love the game, but I do think Ole Miss wins this game pretty easily.
All right, Big T, let's go over to you. What do you think of this game? Not one I'm super excited about, but I think there are some plays that we can't ignore.
Yeah, you look at the Ole Miss guys, like Bruce said, all year long. He started the year. Zach Evans was the man. Zach Evans is still good, but he's just not getting the volume I love. But our boy Judkins, I know I talk about it every time on this show, but Bruce was posting the YouTube clips and stuff about 5-6 weeks ago. The dude is just a stud. He's getting more work than Evans. And coming into the year, Evans looked like a beast, but they're the same price. I just don't know how anyone could play Evans over Judkins right now. The guy has just been incredible. He scores every week. He looks good doing it. Now he plays Auburn, who can't stop the run. Ole Miss, I think they're still undefeated. I'm pretty sure they just look good. And I have to play some Judkins. It's like a rule going into every week. I always don't understand why Evans is projected more most places. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'll be on Judkins, but nothing else here.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, solid game, but not one. I mean, listen, we've had some decent games, but we got some big boy games coming up here that definitely want to talk about. Next one up, it's Penn State and it's Michigan. Nice game. Obviously it's like a 5 versus 10. Going to be a fun one to watch. But will we be stacking it up that much DFS wise? For me, I'm not like diving too much into this game. I think it's Blake Corum is the one guy. He is a little pricey at 7.9. It feels like with some of those other running backs and like just below. So I think overall Corum with Gibbs right above him. And then right after that, you got Tucker underneath. Dominic Richardson, another good option. I think overall Corum could get more overlooked when he probably shouldn't, because this could be a game where, yeah, you see the Corum split with Edwards, but they could lean on Corum a little bit more. Bruce, I want to get your take on if they lean on Corum more, and are you going to be more excited to roster him? And then maybe you have some other takes in this game. Maybe it's McCarthy, maybe like a Parker Washington run back or Tingsley. What's your thoughts here on this game?
I don't love this game at all. I think Penn State's defense is kind of underrated so far. Their defensive line has been really good. They went on the road to Auburn and shut them down. And I think they do similar things to Michigan today. It's going to be, I think this is one of those games that's probably going to be 21-17 or something in that range. So I'm mostly staying away from Corum. I do like Richardson kind of in that range there. So not going to have much of him. Maybe like a guy like Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end. I think he's around 10 targets in the last 3 games. So at only 3,800 seems like a good play for me. If you're looking for a value guy, ever since McCarthy has become the quarterback, he's been his main target. Ronnie Bell's also interesting at 6K. Game kind of stinks, but I think he had 12 targets last week and something like that the week before. So he may be getting healthy and maybe throwing the football to him just a little bit more. But yeah, mainly staying away from this game. I don't like the pace of it, and I just think it's kind of a bad game for DFS.
All right, Big T, is this a bad game for DFS? Corum, does he fit that bucket you talked about with Ibrahim? He doesn't see the volume as him as much, but I do think he's in the conversation. But other than that, I don't like this game.
I don't understand. Like, what doesn't he see the volume? I don't understand.
He doesn't see Ibrahim's volume. Corum gets volume, but he splits it more with Edwards, I guess. I
I literally don't understand. Everyone says this, and I don't get it, because he got 30 carries, 29 carries, and 25 carries the last 3 weeks, and a couple of them weren't even. The Iowa game, they won by 2 touchdowns. I don't know. What is he supposed to get? How many carries?
It's fair. We are probably overreacting to last year where it was more like that. So I think
last year though, they had the pass catching dude. I don't know. I'm glad everyone looks at it this way, because I'm going to keep playing Corum and he's going to keep just smashing. He's going to crush Penn State today and no one's going to play him, and he's going to get 30 plus carries. He's going to get like 40 fantasy points and no one's going to have him. And I love it. That's something I might be interested in, as our boy Tambo says.
Yep.
I just don't get it. Give me 30 carries from a guy like Corum. I'll take my chances. Penn State has let us down for years. Sign me up. I can't wait to play Corum.
Yep. Ema is asking, he says, Sabersim needs to have the projections for CFB. We have the projections, right, Bruce?
They're in there.
Yeah. So this is something I'll just mention. All you have to do is, I think you have to go to, I'm on the wrong page. You hit the home, right? You go over there, and then over on the side, you'll see where it says SS, right? And you got Sabersim projection, you got RPS or average. You have to click that. That's the key. So as long as you're a Run Pure Sports member, right? If you have Sabersim on your own, then I don't know what to tell you. If you have it through Run Pure, then you'll be able to get access to Bruce's projections. So be sure to click on that. You'll see it over there. It's kind of next to lineup rules over on the right next to like the red little filter button that you'll see. So be sure to click that where it says SS and change it over to RPS, and you will get Bruce's projections. And hey, if you like Corum, just boost them up. I like Corum today. Glad to see that I'm arm in arm with Big T. Me and him haven't been arm in arm the last couple of days. So I want to be back in the winner's circle with Big T, and we're going to rock with Corum. I think he's a good play, and I'm Xing everyone else out from this Penn State side, though. I'm not really playing anyone there. Let's go over to the next game. Let's talk about Iowa State, and let's talk about Texas. Bruce, they're your Longhorns, so I want to get the breakdown from you. We also have Xavier Hutchinson, who's arguably the best receiver option on this slate if we're just talking raw points. So he's obviously a big conversation point. Xavier Worthy, I think, could be a really good tournament play. One of those cheap quarterbacks that's on this slate if you need some value. You got the Texas quarterback, So Bruce, break this one down for me. There's a lot to talk about, and I still haven't even mentioned Bijan Robinson, who's obviously in play on almost any slate.
Yeah, best running back option available for me. I think this is a tough matchup for Quinn Ewers. I think he is cheap, so I don't hate playing him in GPPs. He's going to be low owned. Just to pivot off of Rourke, who's going to be crazy owned. So I think he's a good play today. You can pair him up with all of the cheap Texas wide receivers. I love Worthy today at 5,700. Just way too cheap for him with Ewers back, because one thing that Iowa State does give up on the defensive side is the explosive pass. So Worthy, Whittington, Jatavian Sanders, all in play for me here. Sanders has just looked great the last few weeks at that tight end spot. He lines up in the slot and just plays like Billingsley did at Bama there. So I think he's a great play. Wide receiver for Iowa State, Hutchinson, of course, always in play. Should see 15 targets or so. Texas plays off wide receivers, so should have some easy catches, and tackling is good. So maybe the upside isn't there today, but definitely will see the volume.
All right. A couple things to mention here in the chat. And maybe Bruce, you can also talk about injury stuff after I break this down, but we got Roman Wilson. He's on the field doing pregame warmups, and this is why I need to be in the Discord chat, right? You get all these updates from us. And then Spencer Sanders told he's dealing with a shoulder issue this week. Everyone I asked about it expected him to play at TCU, but we will find out today. I don't know if he's trying to hedge when they lose to TCU because he's doing the Russell Wilson. He's scared with the shoulder, but Bruce, are you worried about Spencer Sanders here? I mean, obviously we like him for his legs too. What's your thoughts on that? And are there any other injury news things that we're looking for this slate? Maybe you talk about that quick.
Yeah, he did get banged up a little bit last week, so I know he got hit hard a few times and was down on the field. So yeah, that's definitely concerning. Should push a lot of the ownership to Duggan if this news gets out, which it should, since it's all over Twitter. So yeah, should make Duggan a lot chalkier. Other than that, you kind of have to make a choice on like someone like Bryce Young. I've his shoulder's a little scary. So yeah, that's one of the injury concerns I'm looking at, but that game should be solid. So that's a choice you have to make. I probably won't have any Bryce Young today, but I know he'll probably be pretty popular if he plays. Other than that, I kind of just looking around if there's anything today. I don't see too much. Looks like TJ Finley is warming up for Auburn, which would obviously hurt the Auburn QB Ashford. So if he actually starts. So but yeah, other than that, I haven't seen too much injury wise. If there is anything, I know we'll pass along in the Discord.
All right, let's head on over to Big T. But before we do that, guys, 79 watching and almost 400 watching and almost only 79 likes. I mean, we got to get those up there, right, Big T? I mean, we're getting ratioed way too hard. We got to talk about Texas and Iowa State, though. So talk about that game, Big T, and tell the people to get those likes up for us.
Yeah, I mean, we got to get the likes, giving the free winners. Bruce always giving the college winners, and us here soaking it in from him. So you got to click the like button. But I don't know. This Texas game feels similar to me to the Miami game, where this quarterback for Texas, Ewers, is just an absolute beast. Like, I'm pretty sure he was one of the top recruits. Bruce can correct me if I'm wrong, but looks like a stud. Looked like a stud last week. He got hurt earlier in the year, but the guy is a total stud, and he's cheap, 5,700. I know Iowa State's defense is okay, but the nice part is you can play Worthy, you can play Whittington, just super cheap stack, and even Sanders. I guess Sanders looks good too at 3,700. So I don't know. It's just a cheap, low-owned stack that I think you can pair with some of the running backs I talked about. It looks like a clear build, opposite of how I usually build, honestly, where some cheaper stacks with spend up running backs. That's literally the opposite of how I usually do it. So it'll be an interesting day. But I do think Texas is pretty sneaky. And the thing I like too is it's super easy just to run it back with Hutchinson, who gets more volume than anybody. The dude gets like 30 targets a week, it feels like. So I don't know. It's a pretty clear-cut distribution for me in this game.
All right, let's head on over to the next game. I think that's done with the 12 o'clock games. Now we're on to 3:30, and we're on the Oklahoma State and TCU game. Bruce, we just talked about the Spencer Sanders stuff. We got Max Duggan, who I know you're a big fan of. Talk about how we pair these guys up. I mean, also, would you maybe not play Sanders with Richardson? And who are the receivers you're playing on Oklahoma State and TCU? Because, I mean, yes, we love this game from a game stack perspective, but the argument you can make is it's not the easiest to predict who it's going to be, because I know Quentin Johnson, I mean, he went off last week, but man, I was playing him week after week and it was brutal before that. So what's your overall thoughts here on this game?
Yeah, this is probably my favorite game of the week. It probably is going to be chalky, but just a lot of back and forth here. Probably don't like it as much if Spencer Sanders is banged up. That's that's a little concerning, but Dominic Richardson has some history with TCU. He was offered a scholarship there and they pulled it last minute. So he did have a huge game against them last year. And I think he can probably do the same this year. This TCU rush defense is pretty bad. So Oklahoma State's rush defense is pretty solid this season. I do think TCU should be able to throw the football, which would lead to Duggan scoring a lot of points and maybe running for some yards as well. I like pairing him with Quentin Johnston. He's been great the last 2 weeks, and Oklahoma State is giving up 52 DraftKings points per game to wide receivers. So, we always have our boy Tay Barber there as well. He's priced up a little bit, but still a good play every week. He does have the ability to score from anywhere on the field. On the Oklahoma State side, it pains me to talk about Braden Johnson, but if he's back this week, he's still a good play. I know he had a head injury, so he didn't play last week. But Bryson Green and Jaden Bray, both under 5K if you want to run back in that game. I do think Green's probably the better play right now. Bray does have tons of upside if he sees the volume.
All right, Big T, let me go over to you. Obviously, a good game to like. Maybe you got some opinions that changed on Spencer Sanders. And another thing to ask, I mean, you talked about the Miami situation where you didn't want to group away those guys, but like, would you group away some of these like expensive guys, like a Spencer Sanders and a Richardson? Would you want them on the same team at those prices of 8K and 7K?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm just bucking the trends today, but over the last couple of years, Okie State TCU, everyone loves this game today. Spencer Sanders and Max Duggan. I can't think of two guys that have let me down more in the last couple of years that have been awesome this year. I'll admit it. Like I haven't been on them that much, and they've crushed. So I'll say that. But in college, man, it happens all the time where stinkers come in these weird spots. And now with the Sanders news popping up too, I can just picture this dude just holding his damn helmet in the afternoon and everyone tilting their face off as he's not in there or whatever, or the game just playing ugly with the running backs. I don't know. I'm a little nervous of this spot. I do like Quentin Johnston. I do like Kendry Miller. I think both of them. Miller looked good last week to me. He finally got a decent amount of volume. And I really like Jaden Bray and Bryson Green. So I might use this game a little differently than other people, where I don't play the quarterbacks and I go more mini stack, like one guy from each team type thing, because I do want exposure, but I want to be a little cautious. I don't know. 8K for both these quarterbacks. They've let me down. Now we got an injury to Sanders, and Duggan has really let us down at times in the past. So I don't know. I'm just throwing a little caution out there to the people. I don't know, though. I do want exposure. I think there'll be points, but just be careful.
Yep, I'm with you. Definitely something to think about here. Let's go over to this next game. Definitely want to get your guys' takes on this because it has a high total. It's not a game I'm dying to play. And I've talked about it a lot. Like you can play old baby Tua in this Maryland Indiana game, but then you got to get the stack right? So I have to make sure that I get that he's the best scorer on the slate of all the quarterbacks when quarterback's deep. And then I got to get the receivers right. And I just don't feel like playing that guessing game. Maybe I end up being wrong, but I'm okay not playing the guessing game for now. I think Raheem Jarrett is a one-off's not bad. The one guy who's 3.9, I'm blanking on his name, but he's one of those interesting values that I know you're high on, Bruce. And then the Indiana side, I mean, we've liked some Cam Camper. He's pretty interesting there in this spot. Bruce, overall, are you going to take some shots on old baby Tua here, or are you going to be like me and just kind of try and stay away from some of these guys and just mix and match some of these receivers instead?
And speaking of quarterbacks that have disappointed, here we go. Yeah, I do like him today. The reason is Indiana pass defense has just been getting torched. If you watched the Nebraska game a couple weeks ago, Nebraska had so many wide open guys, and I respect Maryland's passing game a lot more than Nebraska's. Indiana's giving up a 68% completion percentage to wide receivers. They're going at the number one pace in the nation. So they're running a play every 20 seconds, which is crazy pace up spot for baby Tua. And so I think a lot of these receivers are in play on both sides. Deichus is the guy that I like, 3,800. He is a tight end. But he just went nuclear last week, and he's still priced below 4K. I do like him in this spot. Camper and Emory Simmons are the two guys I like for Indiana. It depends on if DJ Matthews is back. That would hurt Simmons a little bit. I do like Raheem Jarrett as well. Also Jay Sean Jones, 5,100. We did see Roman Himby's snaps increase last week at the expense of Littleton and McDonald. So he's kind of sneaky good there at 5,800. But yeah, I think this is a good under-owned game. It could be sneaky if the pass defense is leaky for Indiana, as I expect it to be, and Indiana's going to be going fast on the other side. So it's kind of a sneaky spot.
All right, I want to ask you two things, Big T. Someone in the chat is asking for like base rules of how you'd set for college football. So I basically said to him in the chat, I was like, every team's different. It's so hard. Like one thing you could do is you can pull up the playbook, right? And KJ Jefferson, you don't have any Arkansas receivers in the playbook. And that's why I can see someone you can play naked. Every situation is different. Big T, do you kind of agree it's not the same as NFL where you can set baseline rules? And then talk about disappointing quarterbacks like baby Tua and how you're handling this game.
Yeah, I mean, it just, as far as the rules, college is hard. And that's one of the reasons there's edge, is because you have to set rules. If you just go in and run the optimizer, it gets a little hairy at times. Just you'll get too many guys from certain teams. You'll just get weird combinations. But I go team by team in college and kind of just look. And Arkansas, you brought up, is a good example because no receivers really I like. And I think you can play Jefferson and Sanders together. You wouldn't do that in most cases, but I think they both have massive floors, massive ceilings, and I love both of them. So it's just team by team. You'll still have other teams too where trying to find an example, but like say Texas, for example, because I brought it up, like you wouldn't want to play Bijan, I wouldn't at least, with the passing game, and I would want 1 to 2 receivers with a guy like that. So yeah, it's just literally team by team. You got to go through and you got to take the time. I was doing it myself before this show, going game by game, seeing what rules I want for each game. And right now, honestly, I got like probably 20 different sets of things for these games today. And that's another reason to run the optimizer. You enter all the rules, you run it, you kind of see what comes together nicely. So that's that. And Maryland, man, you guys brought it up before me, but no one has tilted me more than this Maryland team. So many good receivers. Tua's brother. I mean, they have just let us down so many freaking times. And now they get a spot where I don't think many people will be on them. Honestly, I think they're like a perfect, if you play 120 or 150 teams or however many, like multiple, I think they're a decent optimizer team where you play Tua or Towie, however we freaking say his name. And he's an example of a guy I would want to play one or two pass catchers with him and just roll the dice, honestly. I don't know who I like the most. If I hand build, I have no idea who to put in there because there's so many of them and they spread it around. But you could get lucky because there is upside, and you could just honestly just bink because of that. And you have clear run backs on Indiana. Cam Camper might be one of the best plays on the slate. He's going to just get so much volume. And Emory Simmons, I like him too at 5,500. I probably wouldn't play them together unless you just go crazy with this game, which I don't plan to do. But I do really like them, and I think you can take a chance on this game if you're multi-entering, though.
All right, let's head on over to the next game. We got like 5 more left, and there's some pretty good ones. Let's go over to Ohio and Western Michigan. Obviously a weird game, I think, that was put on this slate, Bruce. I didn't understand why they put it on. You got some interesting price tags on these guys, though. What's your overall thoughts? How are you attacking this game here today, Bruce?
I love that they put it on the slate. I was hoping it would go a lot more overlooked than it has, but it's a good game. The total is high, and two teams that are pretty close, and so it should be a great game. I do love Rourke here. He's going to be the most owned QB, but it's just a good spot for him. It is on the road, so that is a little concerning. There is some good pivots there too in GPPs, but it's just a good spot, and his receivers are cheap, so you can just jam him and one or two of his receivers. The running backs, Bangura, I guess is how you pronounce it. He's a workhorse guy, gets over 70% of the snaps, has 5 touchdowns, and his last 2 games have been so good. So 5,500 for him seems way too cheap for a guy that should see most of the carries for this team. Sean Tyler's interesting for Western Michigan. Ohio has struggled to stop the run. He does get over 60% of the carries, and he's a good play in my mind. The receivers, I know that this Ohio State transfer Wiggless, I don't know how to say it, but he's going to be chalky today. There are some other receiving options here for Ohio that you can look at. Jacoby Jones is one, 3,600. He doesn't start, but he plays a ton of the snaps, and he's a junior college transfer. If you look at 2 of his last 3 games, I think he's gone over 100 yards or close to it and scored a touchdown or 2. So I think he's in play. Miles Cross and James Bostic are the other 2 starters there. So they're interesting. Both under 6K, should see tons of targets today. On the Western Michigan side, Corey Crooms is probably my favorite receiver today. Ohio's given up 71% completion percentage to opposing wide receivers. So, he should see 10 targets today, and he's just a stud. I like him a ton. Jelani Galloway is a Boston College transfer. He's not as explosive, but he's under 6K, and that completion percentage that Ohio's given up is just crazy. So he's in play as well.
All right, let's go over to Big T. It's funny. I talked to Big T before the show a little bit, and I think he's got a different take on this game. So I want to get your take here, Big T. This is not so fast, my friend, I think, but we'll see. Maybe some opinions have changed.
That's how I feel like the whole show's been so far. It's like, I don't know. I'm super contrarian today, I guess. I didn't realize I was, but I just don't see it with this game. I don't know. I know it's the action. We score all the points, the Wednesday nights, the Tuesday nights, whatever it is. We love it. I love those weeknight slates, but these teams just look awful to me. Like Western Michigan looks terrible. And I guess that goes to the same point I said for Miami, though. Like sometimes terrible teams, you just get tons and tons of points and fantasy points. I get it. I don't know, though. Like Rourke, he just looks terrible to me, and he's going to be chalky. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited to play tournaments this week. I'm almost like the Dunkel. Dunkel's always good at just being contrarian and finding just different spots to attack. I'm not saying I'm fading this game, and when I run 150, I'm definitely going to have some of it. But like on my main team, which I always kind of focus on the most because it has the most volume of my action, I don't see myself playing anyone in this game, and I feel pretty good about it actually too, because I just trust the other spots more. I just could see this game playing ugly, and I'm okay having different takes than some of the field. A lot of times I agree. I do play a lot of chalk in college football too. So it's kind of weird this week that I'm on different stuff than a lot of the people I respect in the industry, including Bruce. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay being on the island, as everyone knows. And I just don't love this game, especially in the afternoon. I know this stuff shouldn't mean much to people, but these 3:30 games, I don't know, people wait and then news hits, guys pivot off, different stuff happens. I don't know. I just don't like this game as much as other people. Sure, there's some good plays. Wigloos, Bengara, Rourke. I mean, these guys are going to project good. If you run the optimizer, you're going to get tons of them. I don't think they're going to make my hand builds, though, which I have, I think, 4 or 5 teams today, bigger teams. I don't think I'm going to play this game in those teams.
All right. Interesting take from Big T there on that one. I do think these guys, like, I'm kind of more in the middle. I want to mix and match some of them, but I'm trying to stack this thing up as much. I think mixing and matching these players is definitely the route to go. So that's kind of my overall takeaway of how I'm handling this game. I do think that, like, you could set rules where you kind of group away like the Ohio running back and receiver. That way they're not together on the same team if you want to. Just because I think a lot of people are going to be jamming those guys both in. So maybe get you a little bit.
We're getting news on these guys too is another annoying part. So you got a 3:30 game. I mean, how many times do we see one of these high-owned guys hold the helmet? Like, it has to happen 20% of the time. Like, one of these high-owned guys just doesn't even play or something. Happens all the freaking time.
It is the one annoying part about college football, but
especially the MAC. The MAC has like literally nobody that reports these teams.
No, it's totally fair. There's no injuries there we're worried about, Bruce, or anything weird. I guess we should ask you that. Why not while we're here?
No, nothing yet. If I see anything, I'll post in the Discord.
All right, cool. Let's go to this next game. Let's go NC State. Let's go to Syracuse. Pretty good game. This is in the Dome too as well, so that's always worth noting. I always love a good Dome game. Sean Tucker.
I always like a good Dome game too.
Yeah, I realized as I said it, but you know, I mean, who doesn't like it? Is that something you're interested in?
That's something I might be interested in.
So Sean Tucker, definitely a good option. I was surprised to see like not as many people on Trader. I mean, I understand why they're not on him because like there's a lot of good quarterbacks that you can go to, but Trader we know is a guy that likes to run a lot. And I think this game could be really interesting. Bruce, what's your thoughts overall here on Syracuse and NC State?
So I don't love this game at all. I do like a guy like Gadsden for Syracuse, but I saw the ownership on Tucker, and I don't want any part of that. I think NC State is a super underrated defense, and it's gonna be rough for them to run the football. NC State is starting a backup QB, I believe. So I just the game's gonna be slow, and I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, we got our boy Uncle T in the chat. He's in line getting my coffee right now. Him and JSU are out there at the Dunkin', you know, getting my revenge at the Dunkin' that owned me last time I was here. So love to see Uncle T tuning in on the road with old JSU. So, but let's go over to you, Big T. Is this a game you're going to surprise me with? Are you going to say you're all in on the Syracuse and NC State game? What's your thoughts here on this one?
So it's just more of the same where I don't like anything but running back. Sean Tucker, it's just a straight volume play. My rosters, the more we go game by game here and the more I'm trimming my player pool, it's just so cut and dry for me. I want to go stud running back or volume running back and kind of play some cheaper pieces around it. And Sean Tucker falls in that mix. I think NC State's defense is a little underrated, but it's a volume game in college for me. It's a freaking volume game. Sean Tucker's a stud. I just trust him to get volume and have upside. So more of the theme of the day, he's the only guy for me in there, but I do want some of him for sure.
Yep, totally understand that. I mean, Sean Tucker, definitely going to be a guy that I have a lot of exposure to. You got to like him in this spot. Let's go over this next game. Before we do that, guys, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton. I get 435 watching, only 123 likes. I mean, we don't want to make this thing premium going forward. I mean, we could do it, right? I know Dunkel's not here bringing the winners, but I talked to him. I'm sure he'd be down to do that, but let's keep breaking this stuff down. Please, though, hit those likes and subscribe to the channel for us. But next one up, what do we got? Arkansas and BYU. Definitely an interesting game. Gotta like Rocket Sanders. That's Raheem. If you don't know that, you gotta like KJ Jefferson. Pretty good option. Want to get your take if there's any pass catchers you really like, Bruce. I was surprised to see. Hey, I mean, you look at the playbook sometimes, and I don't think there's a lot of Arkansas receivers I love, but typically when you play, a lot of Arkansas, you'd want to have a receiver. So that's something to mention, that there's no receivers that it seems like you're really on, because Landers' price is up to 4,400 now. And then BYU, I think are they waiting on some injury news with Romney and some of those cheap BYU receivers? They could be really interesting options that we can't ignore. And then one more guy to talk about, Jaren Hall, right? At quarterback, 8-1. He might be a really interesting pivot. If you want to, let's say you build in one team or maybe 3 teams, maybe leave that $200 available just to make that pivot from Sanders to Hall. If you don't get the news kind of go your way, you might not get any news for what it's worth, but I think there's a lot to like here in this game, Bruce.
Yeah, I agree. The tough part is these receivers on both sides, just so many of them. And man, I think the Arkansas side is a little bit better. You mentioned Landers. He has explosive playability, 64% of the snaps. But yeah, it's rough. Nakua should be back for BYU today. That gives I'm really interested in that price point at 4,600. But yeah, just waiting on injury news for that one, since it is a little bit later. Both rush defenses are horrible in this one. It's just tough to play these BYU running backs. If Miles Davis is back for BYU, he's interesting. He's a big freshman running back, and but Katoa and Brooks kind of split, so that's rough. I would probably like Brooks a little bit more, but his price point is crazy. So GPP only for me there. But Rocket Sanders is just the lock of the day. He is involved in the pass game as well. So if they do fall behind, he's there. I love KJ Jefferson if he's in as reported. Jaren Hall is going to be unowned, single digit ownership there. So it should be a good game. The total's gone up 3 points since Tuesday, I believe. So people expect it to be, and little to no defense on both ends there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I want to get Big T's take on this, because he talks about playing all these spend up running backs, and you know who's a man going to play Big T? Rocket Sanders. Raheem's a guy that I'd be all over for sure. And I'm curious to see, maybe you're somehow going to surprise me and be like, I don't want to play him today. I want to play more of these spend up running backs, or maybe he fits that bucket of the spend up guys. So what's your thoughts on Raheem Sanders, KJ Jefferson, who's obviously a good option? How are you handling this game? That's got a pretty high total. I believe it's like 62 or 63. It's pretty high up there.
Yeah, I mean, I basically agree with what you guys were saying about this spot. I talked a little bit about Jefferson and Sanders. I think they're both very good plays, and I think you can play them together. They both have high floors, high ceilings. I like the matchup, and that's it for me on the Arkansas side. BYU, I like Jaren Hall. I actually think the receivers are pretty easy, although we don't know some of the injury news and stuff. But Puka, I mean, 4,600 for Puka just looks very tasty to me today. I like that. Hill, I don't know. We got to wait for news on these BYU receivers, but I like this game. I think this game could be a not sneaky, but shootout. I mean, Jefferson and Sanders are both going to get tons of ownership. But you can run it back with even like a Hall double stack once we get the news with Jefferson and Sanders coming back. I don't hate that. That's something I could be interested in, as we say.
All right. Yeah, definitely think it's a really good game. I'm going to get some exposure to it. It's one of those 3:30 games. There's a lot of good 3:30 games for sure. That's one thing that Big T did mention. I think a lot of people are going to kind of backload some of their lineups a bit for some of these games for sure. Let's go to the next one. Bama, Tennessee. This is going to be a really fun one. I'm excited to watch this game today. I think Tennessee can take this one down. Should be a good one. Bruce, let's go over to you. One thing I struggle with is yeah, I like this game, but I don't know. I don't love a lot of the Bama side. I mean, I like Gibbs. I think he's in the conversation. I got some of these receivers in the pool, but I don't know. I don't see myself going up to Bryce Young. I just don't think paying up a quarterback above the like even like the Jaron Hall, like I don't think I'm going above Hall. I don't think I'm even going to Hall today. Like I just don't want to go over 8K really that much for him. Maybe it's Dugan and Sanders and that's it. And then I go lower because I just think these value quarterbacks, one of them is going to hit. There's just so many of them. So not really dying to play a lot of Bama guys, but I do like Hendon Hooker. I like McCoy, Hyatt. I mean, there's a lot of good options. Even another guy that's going to get lost in the shuffle that had a huge game last week at 1% was Jabari Small at 6.6K. I mean, he could easily bust out a big game here. I'm not that scared of the Bama defense. What about you, Bruce?
Yeah, the main thing I'm looking at in this game is Hendon Hooker. I know he's going to be low owned today. It's a tough matchup, but historically it seems like Bama has a tough time with dual threat quarterbacks. So I think Hooker's in play as a low owned guy. I do like Gibbs, as you mentioned. I kind of respect the Bama rush defense a little bit too much to play someone like Small, but you will get him for low ownership, and he's getting 60% of the snaps there, so not a horrible play. He's under 7K also, so not bad. I think Jalen Hyatt's going to be somewhat owned today. I do think Tennessee will have to throw the football. Hyatt and McCoy.
I don't think he's going to get ownership.
You don't think so? Okay.
It's just that price point. You look at all the like chalky volume receivers are kind of in that same.
That's true.
That same range. I'm not saying he's going to be like 0, but I think he'll get him 10% or so.
Yeah. That's about where I saw him at. When I said some ownership, I meant just.
Well, my fault.
No, it's okay. It's all right. Yeah. Maybe
Bruce, look at this. We got the coffee and Uncle T here. So
all right. The JSU standing. He was in line for 22 minutes getting Mangone's special order of coffee. So I want you all to know that it's good karma for the day.
Perfect.
Well, dive back in. I didn't want Uncle T sitting next to me for like 3 hours while you guys talked about this game. But continue, Bruce. I got my coffee. I'm ready to listen more.
Yeah, the Bama wide receivers. That's the tough part. Burton. I really think Ja'Cory Brooks is probably my favorite play out of these guys. His snaps have ticked up a bunch in the recent weeks, and he's just looked good. Seems to have good rapport with Young. So I do like Brooks the most here. You also have Cameron Latu there, 3,700 on the field most of the game, and he's always good for a touchdown or two. I love Brew McCoy as well. I kind of like him more than Hyatt today, but yeah, that's about it. The tough part is Hooker for me. I really want to play him, but and I know a lot of people are going to have that in their head that this is the same old Bama defense and they won't want to play him, but I think he can do some things.
Yeah, I think he can do some things too. That stack is interesting, especially like the Hooker, Gibbs, and then you can go like McCoy or Hyatt. Pretty interesting, both of them too. Big T, how about you? I mean, you haven't been as excited about as many games today. Is this one you're going to get excited about? What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I feel really good about this slate, and lots of stuff's coming together. I'm going to have the full player pool up, as always, over at Run Pure, getting trimmed down as we go. And, man, I've been on Hooker all year. I've been on Hyatt and Brew McCoy all year. It's not changing today. I mean, Bama, I love that they should play from ahead. Tennessee runs such a quick offense that they should get tons of plays. Even if it doesn't go how I think it will and Bama just crushes them, you're still going to get tons of plays from Tennessee, and I just love it. I'm riding Hooker and, yeah, Hyatt and Brew McCoy. I think you could even play them together. And the Bama side, what I like about it, the Bama side is just incredibly cut and dry for me. You can't play Bryce Young at 9,500 when he doesn't have any receivers really that you can pair him with. And with the injury, I just don't see them running him. If he's not going to run at 9,500, it's nearly impossible to play him. Don't get me wrong. Could he go for 40 and hit a bunch of different receivers? Of course he could. I mean, the dude's good, and Bama's got tons of weapons. But look at these prices, 7,200 for Holden. I mean, anyone named Holden that's 7,200. I can't go to anyone named Holden. But all these guys, Burton and all these guys, Ja'Cory Brooks is expensive. They're all too expensive. And what I want to play them, sure, but I just don't trust these receivers. So it makes it very, very easy to just play Gibbs, who looks like a total stud. And honestly, I don't see myself fading Gibbs on almost any team. Like, it's almost just an all-in play for me because of I don't want to be on the passing game. So if I'm not, Bama's going to score points. Tennessee plays too quick. They're going to score. No matter Tennessee winning or Bama winning, they will score guaranteed. So if I don't like the passing game, I got to play Gibbs. And honestly, I love the Gibbs play. And yeah, Hooker with the receiver. You could even put Caton or whatever his name is in your bucket. I don't like him as much as the other guys, but 3,900, you can kind of mix him in there as well. But I love it. I love Tennessee. I think they beat Bama. Been on them all year. I'm not changing today. And who knows with Bryce Young? He might be more injured than we realize because this is a big game today. Who knows how healthy he actually is? I love it, though. I feel very good about Tennessee today.
Yep, feel good about Tennessee too. Should be a fun game to watch. I can't wait to see that one. I've been waiting all year. So 6 versus 3 will be fun to watch.
I wish we had our dude though, our boy Tillman or whatever his name. I do wish he was in there for a fair fight a little bit. If we had him in there, I'd feel even better.
To be fair, we don't know what Young is going to be like. So if he's not the same, I guess that helps at least with the fairness. We'll
Either way, they're not going to run him. You wouldn't think they're going to run him like they usually do, unless he's just surprisingly very, very healthy.
Yeah,
which I don't think he can be.
All right, let's go to the 4 p.m. game. Last game on this slate. Guys, please subscribe to this video. Help us out over here at Run Pure Sports. If you haven't signed up, go sign up now. Check out all the content that we have here. We got the Millie Maker show. That'll be tonight at 6 p.m. Then we got the tons of content tomorrow for you guys for NFL. So if you subscribe to the channel, you can check it all out. Big T will be live at, I believe, 10 o'clock with Hoop and Crane. The Wood Show breaking it all down for you guys. We got a show before that, Off the Chalk, JT Hayes, Tambo, AP, and then we got the Up the Lock show with JSU and Holden. They'll be breaking everything down. And no, I didn't forget Dunkel. He's busy at the pumpkin patch or something this weekend, so he won't be able to make that this week, but he's normally on there giving you them betting and DFS winners. But let's go over to the last game. It's Wisconsin. It's Michigan State. Seems like a quick game to go through, but there are some options to discuss. Bruce, Braylon Allen, obviously in the conversation. He's one of those big running backs that you can always play. I think Dyke is kind of interesting, right? Because we're going with Michigan State, right? Michigan State, they are so bad against the pass. I mean, if Rubio is going to score his 40 DK points against anyone, it's probably that Michigan State pass D. So overall, I think there are some options to talk about here. Jaden Reed could be the run back, but I'm not dying to play that much from this game. I think it's really Dykes or bust, but what about you?
Yeah, Braylon Allen is interesting here, but yeah, it's it's a really, really tough game. I do think Wisconsin should be able to throw the football against this Michigan State pass defense, which we always attack every single week. I know Graham Mertz isn't really a sexy play, but he did do some things last week. So maybe the new coaching staff is kind of taking the training wheels off of them and letting them throw just a little bit more. I do like the receiving options for Wisconsin, like Dyke there. He's a good play. I think he's had 10 and 11 targets the last 2 weeks. So he's cheap, and I do see them having to throw the ball a little bit more today. That Michigan State pass defense is allowing 70% completion percentage as well, and does go at pace. So it should be a pace up spot for Wisconsin. But yeah, mostly staying away. You could probably play like a Jaden Reed as a run back, and he's been really good the last couple of weeks. He was injured a couple of weeks before that, so maybe finally working himself back into shape.
All right, Big T, you talked about it. Spend up running backs that can break a slate, right? Is this one of them, or you just kind of fade in this game?
Yeah, definitely another one of them. And Michigan State looks terrible. I think they're 1-4, 1-5. They just have been. They gave the coach all that money, and like always, or not like always, but most of the time, it doesn't feel like it works out when you give a newer coach that much money. You got to let him prove himself a little bit more, I think. But that's beside the point. I love Braylon Allen. He's another guy that falls in this bucket with all the guys we've talked about, and he's in a better spot than people realize. Michigan State just looks terrible. So I love this guy. I haven't gone through and built all my teams yet. I don't know how I would fully rank all these spend up running backs. Let me just pull them up real quick. At the top, I don't know. I mean, it's close between Gibbs, Tucker, Braylon Allen, Corum, Chase Brown. All these guys are really good plays to me. I want exposure to all of them. But, yeah, I'm going to have a ton of Braylon Allen. Love the spot. I'm not playing anyone from Michigan State. I just don't trust them. I'm not playing any dude named Dyke either. I don't even know who that guy is. So I'm out on that guy.
Is just so bad, though, Tony. Like
that's fine. I'm not finding out about him. There's no way I'm playing anyone named Dyke. So I'm out on that.
I did put in the playbook. He's going to scissor through the defense. So
he's what?
He's going to scissor through the through the defense. So.
I like that.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
I might play him now. After hearing that comment, I like that mojo. I might be back in on Dyke.
And jump on board, Tony. It's not the water's warm. It's not bad. I'm gonna have some for sure. Root it home with me. But that's gonna wrap it up for us. We did a great job. I think we broke it all down. We'll be in the Discord chat. We'll be putting our cores in, the player pools, all this stuff for you guys. I got to go upstairs. I got to thank Uncle T and JSU, and I got to help them get those college football winners. Like, I'm going to help you guys in the Discord chat as well. But thanks for joining. Hit that like out the door if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel to check out all the content that we have over here at Run Pure Sports coming up this weekend, because we got NFL shippers coming your way. But for me, Mangone, Big T, and Bruce, we'll see you guys later.